Hello and welcome to Adventures in Venueland, an EVMC podcast. Join us for this all-access pass backstage and behind the scenes with some of the brightest minds that cross the scope of the live event industry. I'm Dave Rettelberger.
And I'm Paul Hooper. We'll introduce you to incredible guests who journey with us as we dive deep into the world of venues, tours, festivals, and everything in between. Grab your laminate and meet us in Venueland.
Today's adventure takes us from Ireland to New York. We're going to check in with Michelle McCarthy, founder of MCC Marketing Group. She's a seasoned live entertainment marketer, over 15 years of experience, played a key role at MSG, Radio City. We're talking Billy Joel's record-breaking residency. And she just launched this MCC Marketing Group. It's a New York-based agency, quote, dedicated to transforming the way brands, artists, and fans connect in live entertainment and sports. Excited to talk to her today. Thanks for making the time for us, Michelle.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to chat with you both.
Well, this has been a big few months for you. It's been now about 3 months since the official launch. Is that right?
Yeah, 3 months since the official launch, and I actually announced the beginning of last year, but then foolishly as a marketer, forgot to market my own company because I immediately got so busy that I kind of assumed everybody knew what was going on. And then I was like, actually, I haven't really officially told anybody this. So that was pretty laughable going into fall of last year. So yeah, officially announced October, November. Yeah.
We saw you were busy with some stuff in back in 2024, and then making the launch official. But I think a lot of people listening today will have their ears perk up when they hear how you went from marketing at, say, Prudential Center, one of the many places you were at, to opening up your own agency and kind of what it took to get you to that point and how it's going. And so first of all, tell us how the idea for this whole thing came about, from getting out there, from working with, venues directly to kind of starting an agency, and what the goal was.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been passionate about music. I, started going to see bands when I was a teenager. I've always been in and around music. I think being Irish, we're always around like culture, and I played piano and I sang and I studied music in college, but I like booked bands in college, all of that good stuff. So music was always really important to me, and something I've always been passionate about, and is at kind of the center of everything I've always done or wanted to do. And I wanted to find a way to kind of merge the marketing strategy and all of the expertise that I had over the years from working with these amazing organizations and the creativity. And that was something that really excited me. And I had a little music management company when I still lived in Dublin. I've been in the US now nearly 13 years. And I loved it, but I always had this, love for helping the poor struggling artists, but God love them. They had no money either. So
Sure.
It wasn't going to be some kind of huge superpowered agency at that time. But yeah, I always wanted to get back to the creative side and really helping people. And, we had a lot of clients, a lot of smaller promoters that were and are doing the best they can, but they didn't have in-house marketing. And I felt like if by doing my own thing and launching MCC Marketing Group, I felt like there were a lot of partnerships I could create. I feel like there are a lot of people that need support and don't know really where to go and get it. And I kind of wanted to be a resource for people that they could tap into without kind of going to the huge agencies where, you even to launch a digital campaign, you're paying, up to $5,000 a week to maintain that campaign alone.
Right.
So yeah, that's how it kind of came about, driven by passion. And I, just kicked it off. For better or worse, terrifying, but amazing.
It's fun and terrifying. I'm sure it's like both, both sides of the coin. What is that like, going from being kind of, I'm sure, on a team, right, at a venue, to then taking that step of being like, I am the team? And, certainly, you could build a team at your new, company, but you're in early days, right? You're kind of understanding you're going to be doing a lot. You're going to be wearing a lot of hats, even more hats than you probably were previously. Is that exciting? Is it terrifying? I'm sure that's a lot of the hurdle, right? When people are thinking about striking out on their own, they're like, "Whoa, could I do this?"
I mean, I think the biggest hurdle when I talk to anybody is health insurance. Everybody's terrified about
Sure.
health insurance, and that's like
Right.
a
Yeah.
real thing. And I
Nothing
think
to
that
do with the
that's what
job. It's all
stops.
the other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's what stops a lot of people from branching on their own and doing their own thing. But I mean, I had a lot of experience in nonprofit and a lot of not I won't say a lot of, but there are, a huge chunk of festivals in Ireland and Europe that are nonprofit festivals. I remember having like so little money, we would have to share pull-up banners between organizations because we just didn't have like a couple of €100 to buy pull-up banners. It was hilarious.
That's how you learn to be creative, though.
Yes, absolutely. And to kind of make a lot with very little. And, working in the festival background, I was the artist liaison. I was like the publicist. I was the marketing person. I picked people up at the airport. Sometimes I forgot to pick them up at the airport and left them walk from the airport, which is another story. But, I think coming from that background where you have to be super industrious, it's definitely stood to me launching the business because yes, now I'm my own everything, my own IT department and you name it, trying to, and it's the admin stuff that you can really get bogged down in, trying to find an accountant who's going to do this, who's going to do that. And, I was so amazing to have such a great first year with the company and trying to also figure out and how to navigate all of these things and constantly feeling like, are the IRS coming? Is there something bad going to happen if I'm not tracking something correctly? But it's been great. And I think because I have so many, I have so many great relationships and in the industry and have been here for quite a while that I have just such a great network of people that I can tap to be like, do you know anything about this? How can I navigate this X, Y, and Z situation? That I've, people I've hired as contractors to come on and help with content creation and editing and different things like that. So I think, spending years working for these amazing organizations again has really expanded my network here. And not only venue marketers, but also people who work in the industry have been just really supportive and really helpful. And I think that's been great to kind of get you through those grinding moments where you're like, am I mad? Is this mental what I'm doing? But yeah, no, I think that it's been great so far and it's all going according to some plan. I don't know what the plan is, but there's some plan in it all.
I always say you don't have to know everything, but you have to, as long as you know the right guy to call. As long as you know the right person to call, then you'll get through it all. So tell us about the agency and kind of what you guys are doing there on a day-to-day basis and how, and I say you guys, I don't know if you have other folks that are working there with you, if you're a solo but tell us, kind of what day-to-day is like for you.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of people who work with me, and then we scale up and scale down depending on what's going on and what projects we have. Again, we kind of kicked off last year, and it was super busy throughout the year, and had some amazing projects that we were lucky enough to work on. But I guess at the root of it again is, how can we help organizations, brands, artists navigate? First of all, look at their historic data and what they already have on file. You guys know, even in the venue space, you're sitting on years and years and years of purchaser data and all this amazing information. And how can you now take that and analyze it and put a shape around it and help it inform your marketing strategy going forward? How can you use that to influence your customer journey and really engage your fans as opposed to just constantly telling them, buy a ticket, and create, highlight the legacy of artists that you're working with as well. Even when I, worked on the David Gilmour tour this past year, that was one of the big things that was really important to me and to his team was, okay, this is great and it's going to completely sell out potentially. But there still has to be a smart marketing strategy behind it. There still is a way to optimize and really maximize how many tickets you can sell, but also maintain his legacy as this, rock god and iconic figure. So I think that's something that's always top of mind for us as well. But I think blending data and driving strategy in a creative way, I think is something that's really important to us and not just being like, turn it on, hope for the best and let's see what happens. I'm constantly thinking about how do we optimize this campaign? How can we maximize? And I think it's helpful for us to go into organizations and almost like a 20,000 feet level and look at what has been done in the past. There are always small little things that just haven't been turned on or could easily be tweaked, that you're so in the weeds and you're so stretched. And as many marketing teams are, there's sometimes one or two people who are doing everything, including posting on social, including trying to get the content on show night. And I guess trying to figure out on the back end, okay, how can we use everything that we already know and everything we already have at our fingertips to create more efficiency in what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. And ultimately, we all want to put more butts in seats. But yeah, I think we really want to build partnerships and long-term partnerships and not just have like one-off clients here and there. Like we want to grow with our client base. And we have one client right now, and it started off as one thing, and it then rolls into something else, and then there's something else coming up that we're talking about, and
which is great, right? It's all about building that relationship and kind of seeing, okay, and you're proving yourself, right? I'm sure people are seeing, oh, you're a new business. What does that look like? And then once you build that trust with them, then they're kind of like, okay, let's explore this a little further. Maybe we can, work on more projects, and that's got to be really exciting. Yeah. This is probably very early to ask this question, but I just love the thought of it. But what do you sort of envision, fast forward 5 years from now, right? Are you hoping to be working with tours? Is there a niche you're hoping to fit? Or is it more of like, we want to help a little of everyone? Or we're going to do one-offs. We're going to dabble in festivals. We're going to dabble in some, venue support. Are you kind of open to all of that? Is there something that you're kind of hoping to settle into?
Somebody gave me advice in the first couple of weeks of starting the company, and they said, just be open. Be open. You have no idea what's going to happen, what's coming down the track, what could present itself. And that is what happened in the first year. And I am open, but there are certain areas that are really important to me as well that I want to work on. I did study music, and I was part of a classical degree and sang with choirs around Europe. So working with the classical and fine arts is something that I want to have as a business stream. And I also want to support that industry and that business, because I feel like there are certain areas of that business that are dying out and they don't have funding, and people often don't have a lot of money to go to the Met or to Carnegie Hall or whatever it might be, and when you look at New York City. So that's something that's really important to me. And we just had a sold out concert this past week at Lincoln Center, and it was a concert performance of Anastasia, the musical. So we had most of the original cast from the 2-year run on Broadway come and perform. And, that was such a special night for everybody, for the designers, the producers, and for the cast to almost have this reunion. And again, a year ago, I would have never thought that something like that would have been on my dance card, as it were. Right. But so, I want to do that. I want to, I'm really passionate about supporting women's sports. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity there in that realm, and figuring out how we can kind of lean in and help that industry and that world a little bit more. Music, obviously, passionate, and I worked on the David Gilmour tour last year and worked with the guys at Peachtree on Rock the Country and Rock the South. And, music will always be at the core of, I think, everything that I'm doing. So yes, working on tours will be a big part of it. But I mean, I'm open, I want to see what's going to happen. I never thought I would have worked on 8 festivals last year. Just that, I was thinking more touring and individual artists and where they would need support. And this popped up. So yeah, I think there's a lot of like wooing going on in the last 12 months, and seeing what the universe is going to throw at me next. But I think that's what makes it very exciting. I don't want to be pigeonholed into doing one thing. And again, I think if I see something where I feel like we can really be effective and have an impact, like I want to help. And there are some passion things that I'm working on too. Obviously I'm Irish, and there are a lot of organizations here who I'm partnering with, and they're artists touring all the time who kind of don't have somebody on the ground here to help them navigate the touring business or even getting shows in the Northeast, and trying to help artists do that as well. So a lot of different things.
Tell us a little bit about the journey or the adventure. How do you go from, you know, from Ireland to, working in New York and at that MSG in Radio City?
Yeah, that's a great question. What
Tell
a
us your
journey it is.
story. Yeah, what's the
Yeah,
journey?
Boil your whole life down to 2 minutes.
I know it is wild. Oh God, I came to New York in my early 20s, loved it, stayed for a while. I interned for a guy, which is also a really funny story because I met him on Craigslist and he was looking for an
Dangerous.
assistant. Oh, I know, but I was like so green, literally off the boat. And he said, "Yeah, I have a basement office in Union Square. Can you come to the basement of this
This is
building
not good advice for the young ones out there. I'm just going to say that.
and meet me?" And I was so excited. I was like, "Wow, I got an interview. This is great." And off I went to this dimly lit basement to meet this guy. But that same guy like ended up being a pivotal part in like how I moved to New York 9, 10 years later. But he was an event planner at the time. He organized, there was a huge party scene in New York City at the time. He organized the launch of AC/DC's new DVD, and Pearl Jam brought out like a deluxe package of their
Cool.
album set. So we would have like VIP parties, and I would like be on the door, or I would be doing something else, organizing the guest list in advance. And he was also a film writer director, so I would do research for him. But I went back to Ireland. I came back here. I worked in the Live Nation office in New England in my mid 20s for a while. So I came back and I did that. There was, of course, a person from Cork who had an office in their building in Massachusetts, and he was putting on an Irish festival, Icons Irish Festival, and it was usually very Irish, but this year it was going to be Dropkick Murphys, and the Black Crows were headlining, and a bunch of other big acts, and then Irish acts as well coming over. So I worked on that. So I had a little bit of a network that I was kind of building over the years. And eventually, my friends in Ireland said, "If we have to listen to you talking about how much you want to move back to New York, we're going to kill you. You need to find a way to move back to New York." So I did. And I came over here and
That's great
interviewed.
friends, though. They're willing to push
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
Yeah. And then pushed me out of the country. They're like,
Get
"Did you
over there.
leave?"
They just wanted you to move over. That way they could visit and have a place to
Exactly.
stay in New
Exactly.
York.
Little did they know the size of apartments in New York City.
Right.
But yeah, I ended up coming over here. I was determined. I'd met a bunch of different people through this Irish festival, publicists in New York, different things. And this guy who I met when I was 21 said, "Oh, I know somebody who produces concerts in Jazz at Lincoln Center and Carnegie Hall. Let me connect you with them." And he did, and they ended up hiring me. And I came here in March, interviewed for loads of companies in Boston and New York, and got a job with them and moved here in May. So, and again, that was kind of more back in the classical realm. I oversaw the concert orchestra marketing in Ireland for the national orchestras. So I had that background and had obviously again studied music. So yeah, started working with them, and then literally around the corner was Madison Square Garden, and a marketing job came up there a couple of years later, and I got it.
There you go.
That was, am I right that am I timing that it was February of 2020 when you got hired?
Oh no, I did 2 tours at the Garden.
Okay,
So
all right.
yeah, but
This is
then
the
yes,
first tour.
the first tour,
Okay.
and then yeah, I started working there, and it was just insane and amazing, and spent a few years, it was nearly 4 years there, and then left, went to Prudential Center across the river.
Right. Yeah.
And again, like a completely different experience, but it's the New York market is one of the busiest markets in the country, and just to be in the middle of all of that was and it still is like such a phenomenal experience. And then yes, just before COVID, I went back to the Garden in February. It was February 16th, 2020.
So you
So
you start there in February of 2020, and obviously things shift. Tell us about that little run there for you?
yeah, I mean, I think it really forced everybody to be really creative. What are you going to do now? you're a venue and everybody else faced this. I was on multiple calls all through COVID with different groups that were formed. We had formed this women's group, and we would meet every 2 weeks, I think, during COVID to talk about what everybody was going through. But I think you're so dependent on touring and artists coming in and what's going on in the world and what are they doing when they're in the venue, and you're relying on that for content, for your website and everything, and especially your social channels. And then you don't have anything to talk about.
It's dry. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's dry.
So I remember, we're coming up with ideas like, what are we going to do to kind of keep things moving? How can we go into our archives and find content that we can use on social? I remember somebody on the team was making tie-dye t-shirts at home for TikTok content at one point. They were like, I think this is a trend and it'll be something that we can do. And, going through all of that. And, we were super lucky. We had the Trey Anastasio live stream from the Beacon with no audience, and that was a huge thing that drove some momentum and made a lot of people very happy that they had some live music that they could watch and kind of be part of every Tuesday night or every Tuesday evening. And then, of course, there was the comeback. We trying to ramp back up and all of the challenges that came with that. And we reopened the venues with Foo Fighters, that Foo Fighters show in June 20th.
That's right. Yeah.
Which was insane, not a dry eye in the house. And again, you're trying to, one of the things that is really important to me at MCC as well is like, how do you take these big moments, like even with David Gilmour again, as I'll use it as an example, and really, blow it out of the water. Like, this is a huge deal. He did 5 sold out nights at the Garden and then played Hollywood Bowl and the brand new Intuit Dome within a few weeks of it opening. And how do you create a tentpole moment in time with this event? And that was something that we did to reopen the venues with the Foo Fighters show, creating content and really leaning into, trying to make fans part of what was happening too, and part of the excitement and part of the build-up for all of these things. How do you get buy-in to I guess, raise the credibility of your brand and create loyal fan bases and loyal following for a venue or a brand or an artist or whatever it might be? And I think that's something that's really important to me and something we kind of really did a good job with in previous roles that I've had.
It's got to be interesting to work on. Obviously, you said David Gilmour did 5 shows at the Garden, which is awesome. And we talked about, we kind of alluded to the Billy Joel's run there, which is, wild as well. But what is it like to be working on multiple shows? How do you approach marketing when it comes to something like that? Certainly, there's going to be people that are going to multiple shows because they're a huge fan, and there's other people that you're kind of trying to grab to just attend one of those. And what does that look like? Are you kind of circling back to previous Billy Joel buyers when you're marketing the next Billy Joel show? Is it more about this kind of the story of you want to be a part of this, monumental run? It's got to be something unique. A lot of other venues probably don't have the pleasure and pain of dealing with something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was so exciting, and I think it was exciting for everybody because it had never been done before.
Yeah.
And it was just, apart from, Vegas residencies and whatever, from an arena standpoint, a 10-year running residency has never been done. So that was kind of one element of it. And I guess, I think when the venue, the brand and the artist who has the brand and the fan following and the promoter can come together and really work in tandem, I think that's such a sweet spot. And I think that that's something that we all struggled with from the venue side of trying to get aligned when everything is mayhem and somebody's announcing 25 dates and a tour and you're one venue and you're like, can we just get content? Can we help us help you? But I think that is something that I think, just given the nature of it and it running for so long, we were on calls all the time to talk about strategy and how can we make this better? How can we improve it? But for the most part, People came multiple times over the years. It became something in New York, almost had a life of its own. And I think it was a staple, almost like going to a Broadway show. You come to New York, you should go to a Broadway show, you should go to Macy's and do some shopping, and you should go to Billy Joel at the Garden. Like they're your check mark things that you should do. And there were different, I guess, you're looking at how do you refill the sales funnel and how do you keep things fresh. And yeah, there was just a lot of strategy behind what we were doing. And it's a lot of things have moved in a digital direction, and you only run digital and you only do this. But there's a lot of space still for traditional marketing outlets. And even when I worked on the country festivals last year, you're trying to build strategies around the local community and how do you localize this that it makes sense locally, and you're not just turning on a digital campaign and running social programmatic and search and a YouTube campaign or whatever and hoping that it'll work. But it was kind of that New York connection for Billy that was like the big center point, I think, to everything. That he would say it at every show. Like everybody heard him say all the time, we're home. This is our home base. Like we're at the Garden, and there's nothing better. So he was plenty to sell it himself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you obviously have plenty to do there, and you're working at a venue that so many people that are listening right now would, that's like their bucket list venue, and yet you decide you're going to start your own agency. When did you first get this idea, and how did you go from the idea phase into actually making it happen?
I had been thinking about it for a long time. And I think as well, coming out of COVID and all of the insanity that we all, endured in the industry. And I was like, okay, maybe later on when I'm in my 50s, I'm going to do this thing and I will have a couple of clients and it'll be great. And I kind of went on you'll think I'm mad. I went on a yoga retreat and I did a lot of wooing.
That's not mad. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was amazing. And I really I went on my own, and when I went there was actually nobody else on the yoga retreat.
Where was it at?
It was just me in Mexico.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
In some guy's basement.
So I had 4 hours of yoga every day.
Wow.
With this instructor one-on-one, which was amazing. But yeah, it kind of, really made me think about what I want. And I had some friends who had passed away, some really close friends who had passed away in previous years and had worked in the industry, and it kind of really made me think about life and what do you want, and ultimately at the end, what are you going to say you were proud of, or what are you going to say that you did that mattered? All of those big questions that you ask yourself from time to time. And I wanted to do my own thing, and I wanted to be helpful, and I want to be of service to people who are trying to do great things. And there are so many talented people. And I feel like if they just do one thing that will help them with marketing, it's going to really, move things along for them and have an impact. And yeah, I went on this yoga retreat. And when I was coming back, I was like, I'm going to start my own thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I kind of went to ground for a few weeks, and I was like, okay, am I mad? Talked to some people that I, really trust in the industry, and they were like, absolutely, totally, you should do this, go for it. And, gave some great advice and had great words of wisdom for launching, and also like just logistical things about taxes, which it always goes back to.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but I launched and it was so exciting. And somebody said, every single person you'd speak to, ask them for 3 contacts. Tell them you want to be connected with 3 new people.
That's good advice.
Or 3 potential clients. And I started doing that, and quickly it was like, I know somebody needs something. This person needs this. I just had a conversation because this is a relationship business. And I think we spend so much time working together that you need to build a network that you really rely on and really trust. And I think that, from going to the conference, from going to EVMC, from working with Marissa and the team on the Arena Alliance and then the Theatre Alliance, and meeting all of these other amazing marketers at other venues. I think it's just to have that resource and to be able to pick up the phone and call somebody who is in Denver and be like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? Where do you think that there's a need in your business? And being able to go to agents and have meetings with them and just have that support has been incredible. So yeah, it's very exciting and it's been great and long may it last.
Yes.
When we obviously got to know a lot of you through the agency and everything, but how about away from work? I know you're a big world traveler, but tell us a little bit about what you do outside of the times that you're busy working on all your free time that I'm sure you have.
Clearly, you're a yoga fan. You're yogi.
I wouldn't even say I'm good at yoga, but I give it a good go. I love to travel, and I just got back from like 2-3 week trip in Thailand. I was like, I'm in Ireland and I'm halfway to Thailand, so I might as well just go over there and check it out.
There you go.
So I did that, and I think it's important too. And I put so much importance, even with in different organizations I worked on, and with my team, I always wanted them. If you're off, you're off. Nobody is going to call you. I want you to take the time. I think it's really important for people to take the time. And I think we pay a lot of lip service to that and don't really follow through because you think that the world is going to stop if you. And I just had this conversation with somebody recently, and they were like, "Well, I have to be online because you don't know what's going to happen if." And I'm like, "What do you think is going to happen?" No, I think it'll be fine. You can take 6 hours off; it'll be okay. So yeah, I think it is important to go away and kind of step outside of yourself a little bit and get out of this because it does become a grind and it is hard work. And, like you mentioned, I am a little bit of a jack of all trades right now. And you are working on business development and then you're also working on what are these analytics? Where's the dashboard for X, Y, and Z campaign that I can put together a report for our client?
You took a cooking class in Thailand.
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah.
You like to cook?
Yes, I love to cook. Love to cook. I probably spend more time eating and cooking than I do anything else. Not even kidding. Yeah, I love going to a restaurant and somebody says, "Yeah, it's probably too much food." And I said, "Don't you worry about that."
Sounds like a challenge.
It'll be okay. And it's usually male waiters too. I'm like, "Yeah, don't you worry about that. It'll be all right." But yeah, and obviously my family's in Ireland, so I try to get back to Ireland 2-3 times a year. I have two beautiful little nieces and a nephew back there. Two of my brothers are there, and then my oldest brother actually lives in Boston. So we get to see each other a bit. But yeah, I mean, I feel so lucky that I have such a good group of friends here, and again, just a great group of network. And it becomes like they're not work colleagues. The promoters and the marketing people and people at agencies, like they're the people I go out with on the weekends. They're who I have dinner with before I go to a show. I still go to so many shows and hang out with all of the same people for the most part. But yeah, still going to shows, still going to see up and coming artists is like one of my favorite things to do. Still trying to go to club shows more. Was one of my big things last year that I wanted to do. And yeah, I think kind of just being around the community. I love supporting local businesses. I live in Jersey City, in New Jersey, and it's such a nice community here and great pop-up shops and restaurants and local initiatives going on that I love kind of being part of. And you'll always find me at a farmer's market wherever I am.
What are some of this is probably a lot to distill down, but what are some of your favorite things about Ireland? I've been to Ireland.
Oh yeah.
I've only been, this is unfortunate, so I'm telling on myself here. I've only been out of the country to 2 different countries. I've been on multiple trips, but I've been to Canada and I've been to Ireland, and that's it.
No
which
way.
is interesting. Yeah, and I went to Ireland. It's been a minute, but What are some of your kind of favorite parts of Ireland for people looking to visit? I know it's got a lot. It's a small country-ish, but it's got a lot, right?
Yeah, the fresh air is second to none. And I love going to the beach. I love going to the beach. No, even here, going down the shore in the winter, I love being on the beach. I love being near the water. I grew up close to the water. The beach is half a mile from my parents' house where I grew up. And the beaches are phenomenal in Ireland. Like my beach,
Who knew?
I know. I mean, if you could get the weather to go to the actual beach and, do beach things. But such beautiful beaches. There's actually amazing surfing in Ireland, in the west of Ireland, and like world champion surfers have surf schools in Mayo and West Kerry. I think the Ring of Kerry is one of the most beautiful drives you can do. It's just phenomenal. I think going to Dublin is great, and I love Dublin, but it's not Ireland. It's like a European city, and
That is one thing I remember from my trip is I met so many people and they all said, "Oh, if you want to see real Ireland," and they all had a different definition.
Really?
Is that common? Oh yeah, if you want to see real Ireland, go to the Connemara Mountains, and then we go to the Connemara Mountains, and there'd be people in the Connemara Mountains that are, "Oh, this isn't real Ireland. If you want to see real Ireland, go to." It's like everyone has
Paul,
their
I like your.
favorite
I think
spots.
is this the debut of your Irish accent, Paul?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can do
I
a
like
thicker
that.
one, but I don't want to be offensive. So.
Like a Tom Cruise far and away
Yes,
of
exactly.
debut. No, I mean, I love to hike, and there's amazing hiking in Ireland. And I think you can any day in Ireland, it's four seasons in one day for sure. So layer up and wear waterproof shoes. But amazing hiking. I went back during COVID and I worked remotely from Ireland, and I went and quarantined in a house in West Kerry for 2 weeks,
That's
and
awesome.
got out. And Ireland was very, very strict. You couldn't go further than 5 kilometers from your home. You had to have a letter if you were going somewhere. And so I went to West Kerry to this house, and my friend told her husband, she's like, "I'm leaving, mind the kids. I'm going to get Michelle and we're going to go to this house." And then my other friend said, "Can I come? Will I get into the country?" And I'm like, "I'm not even sure. Let's go and see what happens." So we all holed up in this house in Kerry, but hiked every day, met a farmer next door who's a fisherman, and he went out and caught us fresh lobster every day.
What?
And he's like, "I'll leave the lobster at the gate. There's a bowl, put the money in the bowl." And
Sounds like a fairy tale.
yes, and I leave the lobster there. But that is the thing with Ireland that I love the most. And everything is so authentic. There's nothing. I remember bringing friends maybe 10 years ago or less, and we came back after being there for 2 weeks, and they said, "It's crazy that we were in Ireland for 2 weeks and nobody asked us what we do for a living."
Yeah.
Everything was about everything else, about your life and
Beautiful.
what
That's
your interests
beautiful.
are, and where we're going next, and what, let's go on this hike here and let's go down to see this. But there was no talk about your career and how much money you had or what kind of car you drive. And I think that's still a beautiful thing about Ireland. It's very authentic and genuine, and people want to know about who you are as opposed to what you do every day for work.
That's amazing.
Well, thanks for spending an hour with us talking about what you do. Obviously,
Yeah, thanks so much.
Paul and I are not
Thanks.
Irish. So, hey, before we let you go here, I want to hit you with our fast five. It's just five quick questions, looking for your short, immediate response. First up, what was your very first concert?
Oh, can I do a two for it? Because it was
Absolutely,
the same
go for it.
and this is the same. Fish at Boston Garden, the old Boston Garden on New Year's Eve before they
Wow.
tore it down. And the same year, Garth Brooks in Dublin when he did that 6-night run at the Point
Oh,
Theatre.
wow.
Yeah. And my mom took me, and she was never more traumatized in her entire life. She said all I could see was people, thousands and thousands and thousands of people.
Do you have a favorite show?
I mean, I can't get off this without saying I am a huge Bon Jovi fan. So since I was 7 years old, I bought Bon Jovi New Jersey, and it's my thing now. And
And now you're living in Jersey. How about that?
I know. My friend makes up this whole story. She tells her friends, "Yeah, Michelle actually lives in New Jersey because of Bon Jovi. That's why she moved to the US."
She was just a small town girl from Ireland.
Yeah.
living in a lonely world.
Yeah. So I mean, that I love the last Bon Jovi tour. Going to see U2 at Sphere was just phenomenal. We had, I think it was like 7 nights of Adele at the Garden.
Oh my gosh!
During my first tour, so those shows were phenomenal.
Let me ask you a tough question: who's got better food, New York or Ireland?
Oh,
You're gonna make her wage a war.
yeah, I know. I mean, I think Ireland has the best butter for sure. Big plug for Kerrygold. I think that you can't beat the diversity of food in New York.
Yeah, okay.
You can get anything you want at any hour of the day. And I think that's not the case in Ireland. Like the restaurants might open on Wednesday or Thursday. We'll see how it's going this week.
Give us one artist to check out on Spotify. Maybe somebody you saw in a club last year or somebody that you've been listening to recently. Tell us somebody that you think deserves a little more love that we should check out.
There's this guy, he's called One Thing on Instagram, but his name is Niall McCabe. And he's coming to New York and he's going to do a couple of shows here in the next couple of weeks. March is going to be crazy. Like there are a lot of Irish artists coming over to tour. I'm sure you've heard about Lankum, who are amazing. Amble, another amazing act who are actually going on tour with Hosier this year. Kieran Moran is a great act coming out of Dublin. He's absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, I think they're some of the big ones. James Vincent McMorrow just played Brooklyn, and a great artist who's been around for maybe 15 years, but phenomenal guy.
Last question for you. What's your theme song? So there's a TV show where cameras follow you around all the time and film your life. What's the song that plays over the opening credits to your TV show?
Oh, you know what I just walk into work to? The theme song from Hamilton, that song, My Shot.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
That was like my hype song for a while. Yeah, I was like,
That's a good one.
because it's so New York, and I was like, yes, it's going to be great. Again, small town girl coming to the Big Apple. But
Michelle, give us the plugs if people want to check out the agency or connect with you. Anything you want to plug here?
yeah, absolutely. If you go to mccmarketinggroup.com is the website, and that has some of the most recent projects we're working on, and we'll give you a good overview of the services that we provide and how we can partner and work together with some future clients. We're on Instagram at MCC Marketing Group, and you can email me directly at michelle@mccmarketinggroup.com if you have any questions.
Thank you so much for the time today. I find I always find a little something to take away, but really inspiring some of the risks that you took and the way that you're putting yourself out there. And I appreciate you taking the time to share your adventures with us.
It was so nice to see you both, and thank you so much for having me. And I hope I'll see you in real life very soon.
Yes, hopefully EVMC 25.
Absolutely. Yes, I'll be there.
And a big thanks to everybody for listening to this episode of Adventures in Venueland. Remember, you can subscribe and find more episodes wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. We do love your 5-star reviews because it helps others find us. Until the next adventure, I'm Dave Rettelberger.
And I'm Paul Hooper. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Adventures in Venueland is a side project of the Event and Venue Marketing Conference, a marketing conference that brings together diversified event and venue professionals to cultivate education, collaboration, and innovation for the growing sports and live entertainment industry. Find out more at eventvenuemarketing.com.
Audio editing and mixing by Camille Faulkner.
Design and digital advertising by Megan Ebeg.
Copywriting and publicity by Samantha Marker.
Guest booking and brand strategies by Paul Hooper.
Guest research by Dave Rettelberger.
Marketing strategies by Paul Hooper, Megan Ebeg, and Samantha Marker. Thanks for joining us. Until the next adventure.